up, y'all? What's going on? This is DroptopLa. I hope everybody having a wonderful day. I got a crazy situation that's going on here. It's kind of a long story, but I'm gonna go ahead and get into it. Okay, so yesterday my car ended up stopping in the middle of the road on my way to work. Okay. It wasn't the first time I drove it yesterday. Like, the first time I got in it, everything was fine. I went to the gas station, came back home, pulled out, everything was okay. When I got to the first stop sign, everything okay. Second stop sign, pulled off, it went turned completely off on me. I think my camera went off. I don't know. Oh no, it's still rolling. But yeah, it completely turned off on me. First thing I did, of course, was kind of panic. I called my supervisor at work, let him know that I'm stuck in the middle of the road and it's more likely I won't be able to make it to work. Service stability track, engine lights start popping up, car just started shaking, making a weird noise. Like, I didn't know what was going on. Like, felt like shit was about to blow up. But yeah, it was horrible. So I tried to crank it back up. It won't crank up. Okay, so I waited a few minutes, cut it off, try to crank up. Didn't happen. Waited again. I'm still in the middle of the road now. Cars is just sitting there. Crank it up. It cranked up, so I was able to like move it to the right, move it on the grass or whatever. Try to crank it up again, won't crank up. So I was just sitting there just trying to figure out, like, how did this happen? Like, what's going on? So sitting there thinking, like, okay, stability track, you know, my mama said that usually got something to do with I'm guessing like the brakes, the wheels, some sort. So I'm thinking like, oh, you know, maybe it's the brakes, because when I got my tires changed, the guy told me soon I'm gonna need some brakes, some front brakes. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's the brake. That's what it is. It probably ended up going out on me, so maybe it's the brakes. So what I did was cranked up, car cranked up this time, was able to move this time, pulled out in the middle of the road, and it cut off. I said, God dang. So I had to get out the middle of the road. I put the car in neutral, rolled back, and there was a ditch behind me and a wooden fence. So I rolled back, and before I tried to hit that ditch, I ended up putting the car in park. So now I'm like face towards the road. Alright. So I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, okay, brakes. If this is because of the brakes, let me try to pull my emergency brake up and see, you know, what that do, right? So I pull my emergency brake up, pray, like, let me get home, let me get home, let me get home, let me get home. Just let me get home. I'm not too far from the house. Pulled the emergency brake up, cranked up, and it moved. Like, it worked. So it got me to the house, okay? So I got some research, you know, I'm on the Camaro forum, trying to figure out like people who had this problem or whatever like that. And I ain't gonna lie, this not the first time the service stability track message popped up. You know, I had looked it up before, and like on Google says nothing to worry about, it's just your traction and stuff like that. And at the time I'm thinking like, okay, so I just need new tires, because at the time majority of my tires were bad. So I was like, okay, you know, nothing big, I just need new tires. Got new tires and still popped up, and I'm like, what the world going on? So I'm thinking, second thing I'm thinking is brakes. So yeah, I'm looking on the forum, like, you know, people that go through these things, and they not saying nothing about brakes, nothing about their tires, none of that. One thing I saw was like spark plugs and was it spark plugs? I'm trying to think of something else somebody said. Well, one of the things that caught my attention was the fuel, right? Somebody said, oh, my gas, you know, my fuel. And I'm like, wait a minute. my loony tail put some bad gas in the car that same day. Okay, Yes. So that night, leaving from my job, I was almost on E. I wasn't on E, but like almost kind of there. And at the time that I got off, one of those gas stations open. And usually I would drive a little bit farther down to one of the gas stations that I could still swipe my card at. But it's cold and everything. So I'm like, you know, I should be able to make it home. So try to make it home, basically on low gas, right? I did attempt to try to stop at a gas station almost halfway to the house, but this gas station has some old tanks. And of course, the gas station closed. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. This gas station is closed and I can't swipe my card. So I'm like, man. So I really had to push it. So I'm pushing it to the house. Made it to the house. Okay. And I'm like this close on the red line. This close. So I said, man, what I'm going to do is, you know, it's another gas station, probably like a mile down. So what I'm going to do is, you know, tomorrow, I'm just trying to push it to that gas station. Okay. That morning, I was like, wait a minute. We got some gas tanks out in the back, right? My uncle cut grass, a lawnmower, or whatever. So I know he usually has some gas tanks sitting around with some gas in it, right? So the first one was empty. I was like, okay, can't use that. Second one had like a little bit of gas in it, like not a lot, just like a little bit, just like the bottom of the bottle. So I said, okay, I'm gonna use that, you know, make sure I get to the gas station. Cause remind you, I'm almost on that red line. So I said, okay, I'm gonna use this. Put a little bit of that in the tank, right? Then I rushed on down to the gas station, got some gas, okay? Left the gas station. Everything was normal, you know. Cruised back, good. Went in the house, chilled for a little bit, right before work, ate good, you know, on good timing. So, got in the car, like I said earlier, left, and then that happened. And I'm like, yo. So I said, maybe it's the gas. But what do the gas got anything to do with the traction? It didn't make sense. So, my people just told me, you know, get some fuel cleaner and, you know, some octane in there and see what that do, right? Went down to the auto store and I told them my situation. It was like, it ain't your brakes if your brake light ain't on. And I was like, you know what, duh. Like, makes sense. Like, it ain't the brakes if your brake light ain't on. Okay. Bruh. So there was like, I told them what I did, and they was like, wait a minute, so you mean to tell me you put lawnmower mixture in your gas tank? And I'm just like, I know, not thinking, yeah, that's what happened. So they gave me some seafoam or whatever. Gave me some seafoam. I actually used my grandmother's car to go there. Came back, and I was just scared to drive my car to the gas station, but it was rough. It was a rough ride, but I made it there. So made it to the gas station, put some octane in the tank. After that, I pulled the full bottle of seafoam in the tank. Alright. And I made it back home. But as far as the engine light, that's still on. I don't know, maybe I have to drive a couple of miles for it to come off, or whatever the case may be. But I'm still like eager to know, like, man, is it really something deep, or is it really the tank? I don't know. I really want to know what's going on, right? So later that night, I ended up going to Walmart, got me a scan gun, and the scan code was reading the code of 0P300, which meaning I had multiple or random misfires. When I looked that up, majority of people were saying like they spark plugs. And I don't, since I had this car, ain't no spark plugs been changed. But the miles is hitting, it's that time, okay? So I was like, all right, you know, maybe let's try to change the spark plugs and see if it take this engine light off. You know, maybe something mishap there too, as far as connecting to the fuel. And you can tell when something wrong with the car, because usually when I try to auto start it and crank it up, it'll crank up. Try to auto start it, won't crank up. So I was like, yeah, something wrong with the baby. So I'm about to go get some spark plugs. And I haven't even looked at the old ones, but we're gonna get some new ones just in case the old ones need to be changed. We're gonna crank it up and see if this engine light's still on. Probably more likely is. I ain't moved it since I came back from Walmart. Wait, no, I ain't even go to Walmart this car. I ain't moved it since I came back from the gas station. So, alright, let's see if this light pop up. Yeah, it's still. Alright, y'all, so turn this off. Alright, y'all, so I cranked the car up and we still got the engine light on. It shaked a little bit when I cranked it up, but it done went away. It's just idling smoothly right now. So I'm about to attempt to go to the auto store, get some spark plugs, and see what happens from there.
I was just bullshitting, and you know this, man.